Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to our beloved lecturer, Madam Nur Suhailati binti Abdul Manan, and our beloved classmates. So today, our group will be presenting about Material Requirement Planning or MRP for our Seminar 1 under Topic 3 Supply Chain Management. So now we will introduce ourselves before we start our presentation. So, first member is me, Muhammad Ali bin Muhammad Aliman, followed by Muhammad Haziq Danial bin Yusof, Muhammad Shamil Azfar bin Shafian, Aiman Nafis bin Azali, and last but not least, Muhammad Nazrul Hakimi bin Azmi. So, now let us get into our topic. So, before we start our topic, we need to know what is MRP. So, MRP is a systems that include three activities, which are production planning, scheduling, and inventory. So material requirement planning or MRP is a systems that used to plan and to make decision in the production process, which will analyze our current inventory level versus our production capacity and the needs to manufacture goods based on our forecast and the demands. So MRP will schedule the production as per bills of materials while minimizing our inventory level. So now let us get into the scope of MRP. MRP will focus on three main information: what is needed, when is needed, and how much is needed. What is needed is about the customer's demand to us. So what is needed is about the demand from the customers that we need to cater and what kind of materials that we need or we don't need. It can be seen from our inventory before we start producing, and the raw materials that are not enough will be ordered to the supplier for us to maintain our inventory level. And when it's needed is about the time. The first is about the time taken from customers' order to the delivery. Customers will always demand that the products will reach to them as fast as possible and faster than what we can produce. So at this situation, we need to use MRP in order for us to reduce our time to get the raw materials from the suppliers as well as producing and deliver it to the customers. Hence, scheduling is very important in this situation. And how much is needed is about the quantity or amount of products that we need to produce as well as raw materials that we need to order from the suppliers. Based on the information, we can deduct it from the inventory and we can start to order it to fill our inventory at the level required, which means we will have enough inventory without excess, and the products can be delivered to the customers effectively and in efficient way. So now we will go to the history of MRP. So before the companies start to use MRP for the manufacturing process, we use reorder quantity or reorder point that focus on economic order quantity. Then we start to use MRP for our inventory management systems. So MRP was first computerized by aero engine makers associated with the General Electric and Rolls-Royce in early 1950s. However, it was first commercialized in 1964. Before it was commercialized, MRP was reinvented to use the Polaris program. Polaris program is a United Kingdom nuclear program that was used for their nuclear-based weapon systems. And Polaris program was in service for the United Kingdom starting from 1968 until 1996. And in 1964, MRP was reinvented and released to specific individual business, first used by Black & Decker. MRP was introduced to respond to the Toyota manufacturing program, which was introduced, developed, and used by the Toyota. So in this case, it is about the competitions. To stay relevant in the competition, MRP was reinvented and introduced in the business. And by 1975, MRP was used by over 700 companies as their inventory management systems. And by 1983, MRP was further developed into MRP2, which includes more concepts in the system in order to stay relevant in the business. So now I will pass to my fellow friends for the next presentations.
Right, so I'm Haziq, so I'm going to explain objective of MRP. Before that, just a fast recap. As we know, MRP is a system that assists manufacturers in the planning, scheduling and management of their inventories during the production process, or we can say it is software-based system. Without any further ado, I will now explain more details about objective of MRP. So, for the first objective of MRP is to ensure the availability of materials, components and products for planned production activity. This is because it identifies material quantities, work in process batch sizes and packaging lead time. What is packaging lead time? Okay, packaging lead time is the time it takes for the manufacturer to make the packaging. By knowing the packaging lead time, company can avoid delay in production and sending all the finishing product to the shop right after it is done. This is because when we do not estimate the packaging lead time, we do not know when it is finished, right? So distributing department needs to always keep in touch with the packaging department, which will make both sides have some issue. Alright, so let's say company A, the production department failed to prepare the materials needed in producing products, so they will have shortage of products and it will reduce the profit for the company, right? Therefore, when we use MRP system, it will ensure the planned production activity are not distracted by any circumstances such as shortage of materials, as all the materials, component and product are already counted. Okay, we're moving on to the second objective. It is planned manufacturing activities, delivery schedule and purchasing activities. Firstly, by having plan in purchasing materials, company can estimate the cost of purchasing and it can also reduce wastage on unused materials. After that, we go to the manufacturing activities. This section is where the product is manufactured. So, proper planning in manufacturing activities will save the production time as there is no redundancies during the manufacturing. This is because all the employees are well coordinated to their specific works and then help the company in achieving an uninterrupted flow of inventory through the production line. After completing manufacture the products, the finishing product will be distributed according to the schedule. This is automatically improve the company's customer service as the products are being delivered as the schedule promised. This shows that MRP strategically enhance the efficiency of the production system as well as delivering activities. Okay, we go into the last objective. It is can reduce the inventory cost. But how to reduce the inventory cost? Okay, let me explain. There are many ways in reducing inventory cost. One of it is by estimating the exact amount of materials in producing a product. And the best thing is MRP system can accurately determine the required materials for every product. As a result, it helps the company procure materials and components from suppliers as and when needed. This is also will help the company from having excessive build-up products. As we know, excessive build-up products will directly increase the inventory level and then the company need to spend more money in storage costs just to place the excessive products, right? Therefore, it shows that high level of inventory, it is not good to the company as it will cost the company. To be more clear, let's say we have two companies, company A and company B. Company A are using MRP system while company B just using their own method, like traditional method. So when it comes to preparing materials and components, company A already know the amount of materials and components needed based on the demands. So they will buy the materials that needed only, while company B just bought the materials in bulk. As a result, company A will have lower level of inventory, which can reduce the cost, while company B need to spend more on storage costs due to the excessive products. we're moving to the process or step of MRP. So the initial phase in the MRP process is to determine consumer demand and requirement needed to meet it, which begins with the inputting of customer orders or sales forecast. MRP then disassembles demand into individual components and raw materials needed to complete the build while accounting for any required sub-assemblies using the bill of materials required for production. So for the second step is check demand against inventory and allocate resources. This step involves checking demand against what you already have in inventory. It means you can see both what items you have in stock and where they are. This is especially important if you have inventory across several locations. This allows you to examine the status of products, giving you visibility into items that already been assigned to another project, as well as items that are not yet physically in the warehouse but are en route or on order. The MRP then transfers inventory to the appropriate places and recommend reorders. Going to the third step, production schedule. The system determines how much time and labor are required to complete each step of each build and when they need to happen so that the production can occur without delay. The production schedule also identifies what machinery or workstations are needed for each step and generates the appropriate work orders, purchase orders, and transfer orders. For the final step of the process is simply to monitor it for any issues. Because MRP links raw materials to work orders and customer orders, it can automatically notify your team when items are delayed or make recommendation for existing orders, such as automatically moving production in or out, performing what-if analysis, and generating exception plans to complete the required builds.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aiman Nafis bin Azali, and I will be explaining about the input and the output of MRP. Okay, so the first one, I will talk about the input of MRP. There are three basic input of MRP, which is the first one is Master Production Schedule, which is MPS. And the second one is Bill of Materials, BOM. And the third one, which is the last one, is Inventory Satisfy, ISF. Okay, so firstly, let me explain about the first input of MRP, which is Master Production Schedule, MPS. MPS is the quantity and timing of end goods to be produced in a specific time period. Okay, so in other words, MPS is a series of time-phase quantities for each item that a company manufactures. It schedules the quantity and the timing of the product to be produced over the specific time period. So this means that MPS decides what product to be manufactured, when it is manufactured, and how much it will be produced over in a month or a year. Okay, so let me show a simple example of MPS. So let's say a company that manufactures a cup. This MPF will tells us the how many cup that should be produced in a form of table. So it will show the quantity of production of each particular different type of cup that need to be produced for the month of November for each week. So we can see that here the small cup need to be produced for a total number of 8,000 cups in the month of November, and the medium cup is 6,000 and the large cup is 4,000. So the total number of the cups that will be produced by the end of November is 18,000 cups. So MPS is the main driver for MRP since it can determine what components are needed from manufacturing and what components need to be purchased. This helps the company to control the cost of material and planning the resources to be used in manufacturing a product. Okay, so let's move to the second input of MRP, which is Bills of Materials, BOM. Okay, BOM is a detailed list of raw materials, components, and assemblies required to construct, manufacture, or repair a product or services. Okay, basically, BOM is a centralized source of information used to manufacture a product. It is a list of all the assemblies and all of the assemblies, sub-assemblies, parts, and raw materials that are needed to produce one unit of a finished product, as well as the instruction on how to assemble the products. In other words, BON is like when you want to cook something, the recipe will tell you what ingredient is needed to cook it. Okay, so for example, a wheelbarrow manufacturers that want to build 1,000 wheelbarrows. A bill of materials for a wheelbarrow will include all the parts that need to make up the wheelbarrow, such as wheel, legs, handles, and a bucket, including the quantities required for each component and their cost. Okay, so bill of materials can be in single level and multi-level. Okay, let's say the wheelbarrow, it can be break down to wheel, legs, handle, and bucket. And multi-level bill of material will offers a greater detail of the parts that need to produce a wheel, to produce legs, handles, and a bucket. Okay, so bills of materials serve as the foundation of a production planning system and provides the data for other business processes. It helps company to plan material purchase, estimate costs, control inventory, track and plan material requirements, and reduce waste. It is important to create an accurate bill of materials because it ensures that parts are available when needed and ensure the process of manufacturing the product is efficient. If it is not accurate, it can cause the production to halt, which will increase the operational cost, as we will waste the time to locate or find the required parts, and we might need to start another production order. Okay, now so let's move to the third input of MRP, which is the last one, inventory status file, which is ISF. ISF is a file that gives a complete and up-to-date information regarding the inventory. It provides details of the inventory because it lets managers know what they have on hand, where the inventory is, and the overall status of the inventory. The ISF stores information about each item, expected usage, and calculate the amount of the inventory that will be available in a specific time period. If the inventory is insufficient to fulfill the demand, then the MRP system will suggest ordering the component from the suppliers. Okay, so ISF also contains the safety stock need and lead time for each item. Safety stock is an additional quantity of an item held in the inventory to reduce the risk that the item will be out of stock. While lead time is the time between the initiation and the completion of the production process. Okay, so let's move to the output of MRP. It consists of three output: plan order schedules, order release, change to plan order. Plan order release outline the quantity and timing of material orders. Okay, so plan order schedules tells us about the plan orders that will be released in the future date. It is to ensure that it will meet the net requirements for the manufacturing and the order will be met in the future. For example, now we in the month of November, and the manager wants to know the quantity of raw material needed to make available in the next month of December. Then this report will help in preparing the fund needed for payment to the suppliers in the future. Okay, so for the second one is order release, authorized order to be made on the present date. It gives information about the planned orders which would be released on the present date. This report is used to determine the release date of orders so that the materials are supplied by the time required for production. It also helps the manager to keep track on the purchase made to the suppliers. And the last one is the changes to plan order. It includes cancellation or revision of the quantity or time frame. So basically, change to plan order refers to the order which have been placed in the past and the supplier of this item is preparing for the supplies to be made to the company. During the lead time, the MRP may fluctuate if the customers cancel their orders. In this case, the suppliers are told to either cancel or postpone the order uh, to reduce the order size to suit the current requirement. This report will provide information to the manager about all the changes made of the orders with the suppliers.
Hello everyone, I'm Muhammad Hakimi will continue with the data needed for MRP system. To successfully run an MRP inventory system in an organization, there is an assortment of data required for successful use. Firstly, an item. Regarding this, the MRP system requires the users to describe what type of product is being created and its specific demand level. Second, quantity. Regarding this, the system requires the user to input the amount of quantity needed to meet specific demand schedules. Third, shelf life. It is the amount of time that a product is able to remain in the warehouse that is required for the planning aspect for an MRP system. Fourth, inventory records. It is records. There are records of materials available for use, work in progress, and completed. Fifth, planning data. Regarding this, restraints and direction such as labor, machine standards, testing techniques, and comments are required to use the MRP system. And the last one is bills of materials. The system requires detailed accounts of material and components used to make each of the product. So after inputting all the data throughout the system, it can be run in a business. Alright, so I will continue with the difference between MRP and ERP. Alright, firstly, MRP works as a standalone solution, and meanwhile, ERP works as an integrated system. The most significant difference lies in MRP being a solo software with only manufacturing accessories, while an ERP system can easily connect to other software modules. Some manufacturing systems combine with other software, but it is a more complex process. Postmodern ERP is highly modular, so companies can pick and choose which aspects of the software are the best fit and only reserve money and space for those features. They can support several modules for total business control. Secondly, MRP has limited users and ERP can have many users. The type of people who use each system often varies drastically as well, because an ERP is standard among many industries and handles many departments. It can have infinite users. Users could include someone in HR who's checking on payroll, a sales representative checking the status of a lead, or a data analyst creating a business intelligence report. Furthermore, MRP is typically less expensive, while ERP is more expensive. Pricing is a concern among business owners, and it's important to know what kind of expense they are looking at when purchasing a new software system. ERP systems are more expensive than MRP systems due to their wide-ranging scope of business possibilities. The last one is MRP is intended for the manufacturing industry only, but ERP is for all industries and departments. ERP does much more than MRP due to its nature of incorporating many departments at a single place and smooth workflow. It is therefore the right solution for enterprises. Today, ERP is also becoming popular among small businesses. The organization of any size can use MRP. It works well as long as the firm does not need integration with other software.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Shamil Azfar bin Shafian, and I will talk about the advantage of material requirement planning. The first one is inventory level. MRP enable inventory managers to be able to reduce the level of component part and raw material inventory. As inventory associated costs are one of the highest incurred in manufacturing, MRP allows manufacturing operation to effectively manage their inventory levels and reduce costs. The second one is purchasing planning. This portion of the software pertains to what inventory is needed in order to meet demand. Any information related to how much material is needed in order to meet product demand will help managers plan for any future facilities expansion. By planning your material and inventory based on your actual demand, you will know exactly the amount of material you need to store. The next one is production planning. The production of finished goods is dependent on the availability of raw material and components part. MRP is used to ensure that enough material are produced or purchased based on the available quantity on hand. In case where there is a shortage in inventory, production managers can shift production to items that have enough material on hand to begin. The next one is work scheduling. MRP systems are able to provide a concise visual representation of inventory that is available for the production process. If there is not enough inventory available for produced material and components, MRP will generate production orders. Managers can then use this information to schedule labors to meet the needs of the available process without overstaffing the production line. The next one is save time. Having an integrated production planning and scheduling system that can perform MRP will save time. MRP systems are automated, which means that the system will generate the production orders or purchase orders based on inventory levels to supply demand. In addition, all teams members have access to the latest data in real time, which eliminates time wasted updating each other on changes made to the production. Disadvantages of MRP. A potential drawback of the system is that the system is dependent on accurate input information. If input information is not correct, then output of the material planning will also be incorrect. For example, organizations that fail to maintain accurate inventory record experience issues with the output for material planning. This issue range from excessive order quantities to scheduling delays. Next, MRP system require an accurate master production schedule and up-to-date inventory record to generate useful information. The system consists of a robust database that includes inventory record and production schedule. As a result, the system requires a consistent maintenance, and because of that, it requires a proper training for end user to get maximum out of the system. Lastly, high cost and technical complexity in implementation. MRP system needs to spend considerable effort on installing necessary equipment, modifying the software to serve their specific need, validating, testing, and eliminating possible errors. Advanced planning and scheduling. The advanced planning and scheduling system can be easily integrated with MRP software to fill gaps where the system lacks planning and scheduling flexibility and accuracy. APS systems are designed to optimize the scheduling process efficiency, which ultimately takes input from various departments and cross-reference them to create a simulation model. The software alerts project manager where there is a change in demand, therefore allowing them to schedule accordingly. APS are a method to enhance a production facility and take their production one step further to overall efficiency. Implementation of APS software will take manufacturing operation to the next level of production efficiency, taking advantage of the operation data that already have in the MRP. In conclusion, MRP system help a company to achieve several benefits that not only reduce costs but also increase production efficiency. It reduces carrying, bulk buying, and material tracking costs. On the efficiency side of the system helps you to calculate the future capacity need, plan production time, help establish the required safety stock, and the most convenient lot size to ensure both cost effectiveness and efficiency is achieved. Major incidents that may disrupt or interrupt production are warned or predicted in advance so that the manager can discover a solution. Using an MRP system properly requires a reliable record to ensure correct figure to input into the system. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you for watching.